For those of you who are here from the faculty, which looks like many of you, welcome back. If you've been away, and certainly hope that your summer was worthwhile. Hope you got to do things that you wanted to do, intended to do, and feel refreshed and ready to start the 2012-13 academic year. As you can see, today is a little bit different from the way we've done things in years past. In years past, this was called Faculty in Service Day. Today, we're calling this our convocation. We're calling it that because this certainly involves our faculty, but it involves the entire college. And what we're going to be looking at today is a new direction, a new beginning, and to some extent maybe a continuation of what we've done around the theme of student success. And we'll talk about that throughout the morning. Actually, I was thinking about, for those of you who are old enough to remember the TV show The Twilight Zone, and I'm not going to call for show of hands, okay? But if you remember, the creator of the show, Rod Serling, would begin each show with the statement, we're about to enter into a journey and into the unknown, and then he would talk about the plot of a little bit of the story, and then say, and entering into the Twilight Zone. Well, we're not going to enter into the Twilight Zone. We're not doing that. But we are going to enter into a journey. And I use that word journey because it implies a long-term experience. We're not looking at a short-term project, a fad, something that just passes us by, but we're talking about a commitment over time that will be driven to a large extent with your guidance, support, input, and help towards the goal of achieving student success. Those of you that are clustered in the back, why don't you come forth, find a seat, and we'll continue with this. So what I'd like to do is kind of walk through the agenda for today. First, let me acknowledge that what happened today took a real team effort, took a lot of support, a lot of planning, a lot of time, and as always, it seems like it's worked out just well. So I want to acknowledge the help from folks like Heather Fisher, Jenny Ayers, Sean Fisher, Dave Capelli, Carlo Canali, Chris Felice down in Cape May, Laura Campbell, Brittany Pratt. All those folks worked pretty hard to make this thing happen, and I just want to acknowledge their help. Thank all of you sincerely. So let's walk through the agenda of what's in store for today, and it looks in some ways similar to in-service days of years past, but there are some definite differences. Of course, we'll start off with announcements, and hear from Dr. MacArthur. We'll have some things to share with you regarding some new developments in academic affairs. Carmen Royal, Dean of Students, will give you a little bit of a briefing of where things are with student affairs. And we've invited Heather Boone, the chair of the Faculty Assembly, to say a few words to you as well. And then our program will begin. And first we'll have Dr. Morrow come up during the program piece, and he's going to spend some time talking about our Student Success Initiative, our link to the Achieving the Dream Network, that we're very happy and proud that we've been able to be selected to be part of that. And we'll talk a little bit about what that entails. We have with us today our two coaches from the Achieving the Dream Network, Dr. John McGuire, from recently retired as president of Community College in St. Charles near St. Louis, and we'll give you a little bit of his bio down the road. And Dr. Ted Wright, who is our data coach, and Dr. Wright's been affiliated with the Broward County Community College District down in South Florida, and we'll, of course, talk about his bio as we go through that. We'll take a short break, then we're going to see a video, and it's very much from a student perspective, and just to, really what we want to do today more than anything is to start this conversation. More than anything, we want to hear from you, and we want to talk about how this is going to require a full team effort. It's going to require involvement and significant impact from faculty, staff, the whole college community, and we need to start that conversation. This video, I think, will help us get a window into some of the issues that we will need to face. We'll also hear from Dr. Paniciero, who's going to share with you some data pertaining to student success. We have a panel who will be reacting to the discussions that are going on this morning around the theme of, well, the specific theme is in what ways can the college address the goal of improving student success. And on that panel, we have representatives from Student Affairs, the faculty, and a student. Paula Davis from Student Affairs, our counseling EOF director, will be on there. We have 3 faculty folks, people who deal with developmental ed and with courses not inside developmental ed, but Bill Osler, Jay Peterson, Heather Boone, and Heather, of course, will be sitting there also as the chair of the faculty assembly. And we have a recent alumnus with us, Tom Scott, who I think will be very helpful in giving us a student perspective. And then we'll have a Q&A following the panel presentation. Following that, we'll have our department meetings, the academic department meetings, about 11:45. That'll take us into lunch. And following lunch will be the committee meetings in your handouts, and what was distributed are all the rooms in which the meetings will be held. I still see people in the back standing. Please get settled and find a seat, and we'll move on from there. So that's what lies ahead for the morning. At this point, I'm going to ask Dr. MacArthur, our Dean of Instruction, to come up and just give you a little bit of an update on some things happening in academic affairs.
Thank you, Art. Before we began this morning, I was talking with Gina Skinner a little bit about September on the academic schedule. You know, we've been both been here a long time. We both remember the Twilight Zone. But you know, the beginning of the school year is a time of transition and renewal, and really kind of look forward to it. We've been through a lot of Septembers together, and you know, this is no exception. It's also a time to you know, part of the renewal and transition is saying, you know, goodbye to some and hello to others. A couple of people I want to acknowledge retirements. Dr. Louise Kaplan, a longtime faculty member in anthropology, is retiring this year. And Dr. Sandra Linnick, you know, left the college. That's how I talked to her. She's heading to Florida, but I think she still has to sell her house in Williamstown, so good luck to that. We have some new people, too. In the spring, we had the start of Michelle Byron-Gross. She's assistant professor of dance. Michelle, I know you're here if you want to stand up. I thought maybe she'd want to get on stage and dance. We'll hold on that. And she's assistant professor of dance. She has her bachelor's from the City University of New York at Queens College and a master's from New York University. So welcome, Michelle. She's already been here for, well, she's been a long time adjunct, but she started full-time in the spring. We also like to welcome Dr. Lori Lemons, assistant professor of chemistry. She has a Bachelor of Science from St. Joseph's University and her PhD from Vanderbilt. Lori? Okay, just a couple of things too. Otto Hernandez is the new chair of Information Systems and Aviation Studies. It's a long title there. Just want to thank Jim Haggard for the good job that he did in his time as the chair. But we welcome Otto back to that role. The art gallery is moving. The art gallery, you know, along with the C-125, will be transitioning over to the Learning Assistance Center over the course of the fall semester. So we look forward to that. That's kind of the result of a consultant that we had saying we need to have the art gallery more visible to a lot more people, and certainly the LAC fits the bill. Last but not least, I'd like to give a kind of shout out to Jerry Black. Jerry has been out for the year and is now back with us, and really welcome her back into the faculty, and look forward to working with her. So, welcome, Jerry. And last but not least, in your mailbox, the faculty handbook. A lot of good information there, and you get a chance, look it over. Anyway, once again, welcome back everybody. Look forward to working with you this year. And I think Carmen is next. Carmen's next, so without further ado, here's Carmen.
Good morning. I'm Carmen. I'm the students. I think most of you know who I am. But anyway, welcome back to the faculty. I hope you all had a wonderful, healthy summer. This is always very exciting because I know that once the faculty is back, the next step is for our students to come back. So it does start to generate a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of energy for the college. So welcome. Few things. In your folders, I believe, if not in your mailboxes, you should have what I give you every year, directory of the student affairs staff with their email addresses as well as the extension. And we also have directory of services. This way you don't have to figure out who does what. This is an alphabetical order by services that we provide. Once again, I encourage you to utilize our staff. We are here as a resource and support to the faculty. Plagiarism is not one of the favorite things that I like to do. However, once you report plagiarism to my office, it is my responsibility to notify the students. Try to simplify the process for you, so you have a little postcard telling you what are the steps in reporting it. If you have any questions, you can, of course, ask your department chair, Ron, or myself, or you can always go on our website under Student Services, or just Google honesty, search honesty and academic honesty, and that should give you the steps for reporting it. But whenever you're in doubt, just feel free to ask any questions of us. Enrollment. It was a little scary there for a while during the summer. At one point, when we dropped classes for non-payment, we were down by about 11%. But I am really pleased to report to you today that we are down by 2% in credit hours, so it's creeping up a little bit. We still have drop and add week next week, so we won't get the real numbers until after the 10-day count. The staff has done a great job in being aggressive with our enrollment. We made phone calls and emails. I mean, we were really proactive, and I sometimes found that to be a little intrusive, but the processes that we put in place, the initiatives that we took on, seem to have worked because our numbers are showing that. Next thing is FERPA. How many of you are aware of FERPA? I'm sure you all do. Student records. There's something called directory information. That's the only information that the college is allowed to release on a student. However, before we do any of that, there's a process for doing it. So my advice to you is if anyone other than the student asks information about their records or anything about class attendance, that you refer that call or that request to the Dean of Students office, so we need to sort that out. You can share information with each other as long as it's part of the student institutional academic discussion. That's fine. Sometimes I have faculty call my office and I speak to another faculty about the student. Absolutely. That is all about the student's educational goals and experience here. That's fine. It's parents calling, sometimes they do call, do not release any information. Just transfer to my office or to Heather Peterson in enrollment services. Speaking about retirees, Gail Edwards, she's been the administrative assistant for the Dean of Students for many, many years. She was at the college for 38 years. She's retiring. Tomorrow's her last day. So if you see Gail today, just wish her well in her new endeavor. I hired Aline Milligan. She's been with us. She used to be Bennett. She's been with the college for many years. She knows student affairs. She's worked with the faculty, so she's going to be a real asset to all of us. Just familiarize yourself with her, so when you call the office, it's no Gail, it's someone else, but she's also there to provide assistance to all of you. I want to welcome you back, and looking forward to working with you again this year. We have some very exciting initiatives happening, and we're all in this together, and looking forward to an exciting semester. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen and Ron, for making those acknowledgments. It's important to hear these things. I'm going to ask Heather Boone, the Chair of Faculty Assembly, to come up and speak on behalf of the Faculty Assembly.
Good morning. It's really nice to see people. Somebody asked me where I get my energy. I get really excited coming back to school. On behalf of the Executive Committee of the Faculty Assembly, I just wanted to say hello, welcome back, and I'm looking forward to the presentations that are coming up today. Later on, I'm fortunate to be a part of the panel, so I can talk a little bit more about some things then. I won't talk about them now. One thing I'd like to draw your attention to is the tan sheet that you probably picked up on your way in. And at the bottom of that sheet, it will tell you where your committee will be meeting. Unfortunately, what we don't have this time is a list of committees for everybody. Each committee has a convener, and to find out which committee you're on, you're going to want to see Heather Fisher or maybe Laura if they're out there. And they have lists, and they will tell you which committee you're on. But in the meantime, I would like to thank the conveners of all of the committees, including June Jay, Mary Yoa, Augie Nigro, Marilyn Kiner, Keith Forrest, Carl Julian, Regina Van Epps, Joanne Barbieri, and Marcia Kleins. All of them are going to be in the capacity of conveners facilitating the election of your chairs. So you probably all know this, but each committee re-elects its membership every year, so you'll be doing that today. And I'd also like you to informally or unofficially keep in the back of your minds as a committee who your second or your co-chair might be. It's not in our bylaws that you would have that, but we run into some situations over the last couple of years where we have needed someone else to step up, and there's been sometimes a little bit of a bobble. So if you have that in mind as a committee, then in the case that somebody can't be there in leadership capacity, somebody else can step in seamlessly, and we will possibly be revisiting that in the months to come. Also, when you get together in your committees today, we are very fortunate that Bo Zilovich, who is our co-chair or the vice chair of the executive committee, has put together an instruction sheet that you can go over and look at, and we'll look at that again at the faculty assembly meeting in September, to make sure that people know on the committees how to upload your minutes, because we did sort of an audit, and a lot of minutes have not been posted where they need to be, and so that's important because we need for people to have access to what's going on. If they want to know what's happening in your committee, the minutes have to be posted in a way that people can get to them. So if you would look that over, and then Bo has generously offered to do a little workshop for us at our first full faculty assembly meeting. I'd also like to invite all of the faculty to please bring issues that are important to you, things that are on your mind. And there's a lot going to be happening this year. These presentations this morning, I think, are going to be very evocative. And I'm hoping that you will bring these things to the faculty assembly in the form of motions. There has for a long time been a basket in A128. We're also going to be making a form available online so that you can fill out a form to present a motion to the body electronically. We can take motions from the floor, but those are usually for simple things. But if you have a bigger issue, we really do need some advance notice so that the executive committee can vet the motion and perhaps talk to you about it before we present it. So that's all I have for now. I'll be able to talk to you more about some of the things related to the presentations today during the panel discussion. So thank you very much for your time. Have a great day.
Thanks, Heather. And I think, as Heather just alluded to, we're going to be working with the faculty assembly very closely as we go into this journey in the way of having meaningful and seeking meaningful input from the faculty assembly through the committees as it relates to this whole matter of student success. And as Heather said, we'll be getting into this in more detail as the morning moves on. So let's then transition to the next phase of today's event, and we're going to ask Dr. Mora to come up and say some words about welcome and also some words about this entire project, this initiative we're about to enter. So, Pete?
Thank you, Art. Welcome back. Good to see you all here today. To the folks over in the extension centers, branch campuses, welcome to the event today as well. I'm going to provide some very brief and formal remarks, very brief, and then go to a more formalized PowerPoint to cover my part of the broader presentation today of this program. With respect to the formal remarks, let me just say I've had a lot of private and informal conversations with faculty members and board members about what we're trying to do here, and I think it's important for me to share with you, candidly, my views here as the Chief Executive Officer. When I look at the concept of student success, and particularly for us at this college because of driving forces we'll talk about, we're really talking primarily, not exclusively, primarily about graduation rates. That's really kind of what's on the table here as a core. And anytime any organization moves forward with an initiative, this is a major one. I think this is the journey concept that Art uses that a lot. I think this is a pretty good one because it's not a project that has a beginning or an end. It is a journey's on a road, and the road's getting wider, but it's never ending. And right now, what's going to be added to that road is our traditional, always important, focus on accessibility to this college. Every community college has that. We need to make sure that since we are the open admissions higher ed pathway for our two counties, that we're accessible every way, by cost, by location, by every way. Help for students that may need academic support coming in, etc. That widening of the road is going to now include student success. And there's driving forces behind that, and I'll talk about why we're doing this. But anytime any organization moves forward with a major transformation, even a minor one, but always build on your strengths. I mean, that's a basic leadership management approach. You build on your strengths and you move from there. So we are not going into this journey, or actually continuing the journey, expanded it, without resources. We have tremendous a foundation to build on here. We are working, number one, let's go back to a key, let me present a key issue here that I look at as a foundational issue. What we do here with our undergraduate program, I'm speaking mainly to the faculty now, we know over 45 years that it works. It is successful. Students who graduate from this college are successful upon transfer. There's years of studies, formal, informal, anecdotes, tracking information from the four-year colleges that our students go to. And they're mainly the big three. They track these students, you know they do, and they know that our students do well. So what we're doing here works. So what you don't want to do as we move forward in this project is to in any way jeopardize the standards that we're using for graduation. You need to hear that up front. They have to be maintained, strengthened if we think they need to be, but minimally, you cannot compromise those academic standards for graduation because that is what we know to make our students excellent now upon graduation. Our real challenge, simply put, hard to do, easy for me to say, is to look at strategies that we're not doing yet. Strategies we may be looking at now or others that would be considered institutional-wide or targeted toward large groups, not a small pilot, boutique program, but large groups of our student population that could help us to help them to increase their completion, to get to that, walking across that stage, after which we know they will be successful. So it's that gap that we're looking at. I think by and large we are okay on access. We seem to have the number of students you would normally expect at a community college. Things happen from time to time. Our population is getting older in our two counties, so that would mean we'll probably have a few less students. But by and large, we're where we need to be on access, always diligent to continue to look at that. But the student success one is really, I'll just read you the comment. I don't want to misword this. The key factor, this is really my view, is to preserve the rigor of our academic standards while expanding the range of targeted strategies designed to increase the number of completers. I'm going to read that again. You heard the word strategies in here. I'm going to be talking about strategies today. So this will be some of the nomenclature we're going to get used to be using so we can communicate amongst ourselves and with our students. Students are going to be part of it. They're already part of the plan for this. They're going to be part of the solutions. The key factor, this is me, is that we need to preserve the rigor of our academic standards while expanding the range of targeted strategies designed to increase the number of completers. We talk about the strategies. We have strategies in place now. I mean, we've been working on these. So, again, we're not coming at this. We have advisement task force. We have learning communities that have been operational, accelerated learning programs in English, developmental education report. We have strategies in place. New strategies, and we have a model for how they could emerge through collaboration, will be identified. So I don't think there's going to be a paucity of strategies. The key is going to be to select the strategies. You probably can't do 50 or 60 college-wide strategies here. It's just not feasible. What the literature shows, and with our partners with Achieving the Dream, shows that college-wide, it's about 5 to 7 strategies. And they have to be pretty much college-wide or with large groups, college-ready students, remedial students, large groups. So the real task is going to be, well, how do you figure which ones you're going to do? And there's three criteria that are part of this. And it's not that complicated. Number one, the strategies need to be introduced through a process. We have a process we'll be advising that we should consider using. It can be modified. The strategy needs to, of course, be focused. It needs to have a rationale. Why would one think this improves student completion? Number two, it has to be measured. It has to be measured. The model we're using has a separate data team has been organized so that any strategy we use will be measured. There'll be collaboration on the design of the measurement process, but it will be measured. If it doesn't show over a reasonable time, whatever that is, that it improves student graduation rates, it'll be abandoned or modified and replaced with something else. So it's iterative. It's ongoing. And the third thing about strategies is they've got to be able to be expanded if they work on the pilot level. It's not good enough to have a program that can work with 10 or 15 students, and then it can't be expanded to the population it's targeted for. It's weak. Can't do that. We need to have strategies that are expandable. These are very, very difficult criteria to determine what's workable. That's to me the heart of it. I don't think there's any question that we're committed here to improving our student success. We all know that. Faculty, more than any other group, you deal with our students. But the real challenge here is in this model, as can be defined and refined with our colleague in TVCLUB3, is, so what are these strategies going to be? That's going to be the real challenge here. And I would tell you, I've talked to them, we've attended meetings, I've talked to faculty members, I've talked to administration, board members. I don't think you can go to any particular college and take their set of strategies. It doesn't work that way. It's kind of like good to great literature, for public colleges, any public entity. Those array of strategies have to be those that are unique to this college. So you can't import them and go ask some high-performing college, just give us yours and we'll do them. It doesn't work that way. It's a lot of work ahead of us to do that. But I think the model that we're proposing, in my view, will help us do this. It's a collaborative model. It integrates the college. I'll talk about it now in a minute. But I would just say that if I had to say what is the main theme I would share with you as your president, it's that one. I don't think there's a lot of controversy about being back of student success. I think the real challenge is going to be these strategies. I think this is bold. It's absolutely transformational. I don't use that word too often. There's probably five, in my view, there's probably 5 activities in 45-year history of this college that I would call transformational. One of them is our partnership with Rutgers. This is another one. It will change the college. But I will tell you that it's not going to be just this college that's changing. You know the literature, you know what's happening in our sector nationally. This is a major national movement. It's just not this college here in Mays Landing that's doing this. This is the way this sector is going to be seen into the future. It's no longer going to be the questions, and I get asked this all the time because I'm the president, and you get the questions, I'm sure, too, mostly from leaders, business leaders, elected leaders. So, Pete, how's your enrollment? How's enrollment at the college? Get that all the time since I'm the president. Well, the next question that's already started is not how's enrollment. How's your completion rates, Pete? How are they doing over there, graduating your students? We have to have an answer for that. For our students, not for the elected officials, but for our customers. We have to have an answer for that. It's going to be rational. It's going to be appropriate. This model will do that. And I think this will move us ahead. I think we are a little bit in the vanguard on this one. We certainly haven't solved the issue, but I think we have the right plan, and we're associated with the right consortium that'll help us to design how we need to operate into the future. So again, I'm very excited about this. I know it's a serious business we're doing here. It's bold, it's transformational, and I'm very, very pleased to be part of this, to work with you. I know we can be successful. 5 years from now when we get together, we'll know, and I think we'll know that our numbers have moved north, that we've done the right thing for our students. And let me just now proceed with my brief PowerPoint. And by the way, Heather, thanks for allowing us to use this event for the college-wide convocation. We appreciate that. I presented this to the board. This is a standard definition of what we call Student Success Initiative at this college. And it's something you've seen before, and it's not, I don't think, very controversial. These are the driving forces. You know these. There's 3 of them. We're doing this because it's in our mission statement. Goal 1, Objective 5. I don't know if you have copies. This is 5 or 4 on the front page. But yeah, we're committed to this publicly in our document from 2011 to 2016. And we will do it. And actually, there's even a number in there. It's 25% over 5 years. It's an interesting commitment. Second one is institutional accreditation. We know we've all worked on accreditation one way or the other. I'll repeat my remark that I get from the leaders around town and in business is accreditation. I've been on accreditation business. Accreditors coming in this year are, right, for 5-year review. Well, wait for the 10-year review. The question is going to be not what are your programs to promote student success? That question is That train left the station 4 or 5 years ago. The question is going to be, what's your program and how's it working? What's the data to show that what you're doing actually works? And when you get to accreditation, you all know that's the birthright here. Nothing is more important than that, because without that, you cease to be a college. But we have no intention of going down that direction. But this is a tremendous driving force. That's why every college has this high in its list, if not it should be the highest thing, like I believe it is here. And this is another one that's interesting because it's a factor most people don't think about. We have a process here to try to control our costs. We call it strategic finance, try to keep our costs down, try to look at areas of revenue enhancement, and try to look at avoiding costs where we don't have to do that in a different way. And actually this has an effective student completion program has a positive economic impact on the institution. You're generating more credits by students who would have dropped out. Same thing if people in our culinary program know they run restaurants and their professions and all that. If you have a restaurant, somebody comes to your restaurant, they don't come back. You're not going to get to the business anymore. We have students that come here and drop out the first semester. We're missing 3 or 4 more semesters of that enrollment. That will be, if we're effective here, that'll be ameliorated. We'll get those additional credits. We'll keep our customers longer. So that's a driving force. I don't put it as number 1, but it's also an important thing to consider. This is an investment. The background here is pretty simple and linear. We put together a calendar last year to come forward with using the Enrollment Management Committee as a core group, pre-existing, well-known here. Expanded the group, asked them to look at models for student success programs in community colleges. They did that. I thought they did a great job. I thank the group there, Carmen and that group for leading, Ron. And eventually, there was a lot of steps in here, but eventually that was approved by the board, so it's now what we're going, the direction we'd like to go in and being presented today more formally. Again, this is all, I won't say it's a draft, but anything can be modified, but we have a model. This is one that I've been particularly interested in as I looked at this with the core team that's developed. Now, what's required to be reported, most of you already know, is that all community colleges, every college, including community college, you have to report your first-time, full-time students. This is for federal reporting. You have to report on that cohort every fall. You not only report, you follow them, and one of the things you report on is what's their graduation rates. So that's been reported for years. We know that. Most of you know the numbers. Dr. Rich will give you some of those numbers. So you're required to report it. So we're going to start with that group. It's about 1,200, 1,300 students a year, and we're going to try to make sure that what we're doing at least works with them, and then move it out to the other students, part-time students, things like that. But when we looked at this challenge, we looked at our target groups in these ways. Number 1, we all know that a large proportion, Rich, 55% of our students, first-time, full-time, are in need of remediation. You know, I have background in that area. I was a faculty member. I taught in that area. I understand what's going on with this, but I understand the challenge. So we have a large number. It's about the same as any other community college. It's the same. That's the way it is. So we need to look at that group. Strategies need to be focused for them that are maybe different for others. I'm sorry, I misread this inside. The first one is college-ready students. Let me reverse that point. Sorry. So we have 45% students coming in that are college-ready, but they're college-ready. They're college-ready, okay? You know who they are. They're in your classes. We need retention and success programs for those students. And there are out there. We're not going to talk about them today, but they're there. They need to be part of our agenda. Then, of course, we have a large cohort of remedial students. There are strategies that will need to be enhanced and developed to promote success. And for those students, we know that they're the ones in greatest need. We know that. But there are ways to do that, working through the faculty, with the college. We can figure those out, treating the dream, that type of thing. And some of those we're already working on. And then there's strategies that work for both groups. I'll give you an example. I think every full-time student here needs to have a career plan or some exposure to career planning. I don't care whether they're college ready or not. That's my opinion. They're the kinds of things we're going to have to look at. how we can do that, if we want to do it or not. But there are some strategies that apply to both groups. There's another way I look at these things, trying to move forward with implementation. There are basic areas of responsibility for these strategies. Most of them are going to be in academics. We know that. We've seen the literature. Most of the strategies that promote student success will be under arts area. That means the faculty. You all know that too, okay? But not all of them. Not all of them, but most of them. Most of the rest of them will be under Carmen's area. Okay? That's how it is when colleges try to do this. It's the normal way. But there's some strategies that promote student success. We see in the literature that are not connected to instruction or student development. Some indications have to do with the role of scholarships. Faculty members and student development have a role in that. I know you decide to get the scholarships, but the whole area of increasing the number of scholarships is very intriguing. Because the more scholarships students get, guess what? It's associated with completion. That becomes an advancement, fundraising. It's not quite as simple and as linear as one would think moving into this. So we need to be very broad in our thinking. Make sure we've covered all bases for solutions and strategies. And this is one that, I know this is kind of purgatory for people to be into here, but bear with me one more time. I want to go through another slide here on content. What I've done is created a matrix to give you an idea for a template for how these strategies might be identified, a place for them to make sure we're not focusing all of our energy in one area versus making sure we cover all our bases. So if you accept the fact that strategies would be targeted for college-ready students in remediation or all, and you look at what area is going to do it, you create it and implement it. You have your area of instruction, big one, student development, and administrative. That becomes a 3x3 way to look at this. And what happens is we begin our planning by populating strategies, and they make them into those areas. Now, most of them are probably going to be in academics, we understand that, but not all. What this does, it allows us to look at from a distance, are we making sure that the strategies we're looking to implement cover the widest range of students so we can have the greatest impact with our investment. There are question marks there because I have no answers to those. There are answers that have to be emerged from this process. We'll start with some of the ones we're doing, and as we work with Achieving the Dream schools, we'll determine which strategies are going to fit where those question marks are. And again, they need to be focused on success, they need to be measurable, and they need to be expandable. Ted, Dr. Wright calls that scalable, meaning you have to make it bigger. So whatever goes in those question marks, those three criteria have to be met. Achieving the Dream, we went through this process through my charge to the Enrollment Management Committee, and went through a fairly extensive search for using an outside group for, this is a 3-year commitment. They provide academic consultants. You'll be talking to Dr. McGuire in a minute. Research consultant, Ted Wright. Interact with, it's a network that interacts with 190 other, I think it's 190, it's a lot. It's like 1,200 community colleges. This is a large number of high-performing community colleges to be associated with, to look at what does appear to be moving the number north around that group. Part of what we sought selection and got selected for is we had to show that we were ready for this. Is there a readiness? Because if the institution's not ready, they're probably not going to allow you in there. So our readiness is pretty high. We have commitments, formally, publicly, we're committed to this. We have a strong history here of promoting student success. We're ready. Do we have an institutional commitment? We do. Board of Trustees has signed off on this. At the highest level, we have commitment, support from students and faculty. So I think that we have made a case for joining Achieving the Dream, and I'm pleased that we did. It's a great resource. And this is probably the most complicated one. I don't want to go into this too much, but the bottom line is this. What I'm trying to show here is, as a broad model, is that it's really hard to do here. The Enrollment Management Committee is one of the keys. That's the one over here. We've changed the name, enrollment management and student success. So they have a broader charge. This group is going to be the one to which these strategies get fed to. Through the process underneath where departmental structure, the fact that this group itself as a group through committee work, stakeholder groups, we have stakeholder groups that are very seriously connected with this college. We have a foundation, gives us a lot of money for our students. We have advisory committees. We have student clubs. We need to exhaust ideas from all these groups and have them fit into a pipeline that would become converted to a strategy. And the strategies are, when they get up in here and they're reviewed, we have it, a data team. I can't read this as headed by Rich, I think, right? So we have a data team. These are our own people along with coaches. And they're the ones that will collaboratively work on strategies, say, okay, this is strategy A. We understand it. Let's talk about how we're going to measure it. So we have people that will help to do that. Then we move it up for final approval, because it probably would need a budget support somehow or another, to a core team that's led by me. And very rarely, I would tell you, and John and Ted can attest to this, John's been president. The president of the community college very rarely chairs any committee. The president, he or she, appoints people and they recommend outcomes to the president. That's the way it works. You all know that. This one, I am chairing this committee. Tells you my personal commitment is very, very high for the success of this success program. So it goes up through me and to senior staff for budget review, and then we move forward with implementation. The key thing is the middle and the lower part. That's going to be the way, and again, any of this can be modified if we think there's a better way to come up with these strategies. That's my part of the presentation. I appreciate your patience. There'll be a Q&A. I'll be on the panel. But this has been more of the bigger picture as I see it with respect to the large view. And I think that's probably my job to do, not to do too much detail. But unless you know the big picture, it's harder to pay attention to the details. So I thank you for your attention. Looking forward to working with you on this through into the future, not just this year. That's another, is that a movie, Into the Future? Or Back to the Future? Back to the future. Well, our own movie's Into the Future. That's where this one's going to be. All right, thank you very much, Art, who is going to take over.